On the line with us is my buddy and colleague over at SiriusXM, well, here on SiriusXM Progress Channel 127, the great Dean Obeidallah, the host of the Dean Obeidallah Show every day from 6 to 9 p.m. or every weekday. He's also a contributor to the New Republic, a columnist for CNN and MSNBC. His Substack newsletter is called The Dean's Report, and I both subscribe to it and highly recommend that you do too. Dean, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, my friend. How was your week? Did you actually relax and have fun?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, you know, I wrote an op-ed every day, but that didn't, you know, that only took a couple hours, mostly hanging out with family. And it's been a tough...
You wrote those? I thought that was artificial intelligence. I thought you had a Thom Hartmann artificial intelligence bot.
I wish.
Channeled you and can then write in your voice. I'm like, he's on vacation. He can't be writing this. You wrote those on vacation?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
you know, I get up early, and before everybody else is up, you know, you can knock out something in a couple of hours. None of them were great pieces of literature, you know, but anyway.
They're very good. I read them every day, and I appreciate getting them.
Yeah, well, thank you. I very much appreciate the Dean's Report too on Substack. So, in fact, I wanted to talk to you about that. One of the pieces that you wrote about was about how in Argentina, you know, they'd been having coups over and over and over again since the 1930s, and then they decided to do a serious prosecution, and suddenly the coups stopped. And maybe we should take a lesson from this. Am I paraphrasing this accurately?
Perfectly. That's it. And the movie that really depicts it, it's on Amazon Prime now and other places. Argentina, 1985. It's actually nominated. Last night it lost, but it was nominated for Best International Film, and it talks about and covers the story of the lead prosecutor, Julio Strasera, who in 1985, after it was a coup, 76 to 83, a military junta runs it. The military leaders, they ran what was called a dirty wars. It probably rings a bell for certain people. If you were a dissident, they tortured people, they killed them, they suspended civil liberties. And like you say, Argentina had a history every 10 years just about having a military coup. Well, finally, Julio Strasera and a few others had the courage to prosecute the coup leaders, as opposed to just letting them go and having amnesty, which other people in the government wanted them to do. They prosecuted them. It was on TV. And within 2 years from overturning the coup to actually having a democracy there, they convicted the leaders, sent them to jail. And ever since, there's not been a coup. And as Freedom House, which rates democracies, notes, Argentina is currently a vibrant democracy. And it's been that way ever since. And the lesson is, if you prosecute people or attempt a coup, guess what? It sends a message that you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life if you do this. And you just let them live their life with no prosecution. It inspires either them or others to do the same exact thing because there's no consequences. And that's my point. Merrick Garland has failed us in that it's 2 years and 60 days plus since January 6th. And special counsel is doing a great job from everything we're saying, but he was appointed way too late in this cycle. And the message sent by Merrick Garland said what Trump did wasn't that serious. And I think we're going to a really dark time for our nation going forward as we head into 2024 with Donald Trump echoing fascists from the leaders of Argentina to Hitler to Mussolini and riling his base up and inciting violence.
Yeah. In fact, you make the point that the kind of language that Trump used at CPAC this last weekend was, or the weekend before this, was the exact kind of language that you hear from coup leaders and fascists and Nazis before they try to take over countries.
Absolutely. And, you know, Madeleine Albright's great book, Fascism, A Warning, and this came out in like 2018. I really recommend it.
Yes.
It really explains fascism at its essence in a way that's really accessible and understandable. We understand from it that fascism isn't like communism or socialism. It's not an ideology. It's just a means to take power. And one of the staples is turning people against each other. And it's usually the majority attacking a minority and saying, the majority, we're aggrieved, we're the victimhood, we're the victims, like Trump says, and then inciting violence. And violence is a key component of fascism. Without violence, it can technically still be fascism, but that really does it. And so after January 6th, Donald Trump gave us a terrorist attack. He's now openly defending the terrorists, promising to pardon them. He did a song with the terrorists. I'm not kidding, folks. It came out last week with the January 6th terrorist choir. This is like doing a choir with people from Al-Qaeda after 9/11. This is what Donald Trump's doing. And his support, Tom, his support in the GOP base, according to polls, is growing. That's DeSantis, right, who was dangerous in his own way, and we talked about it on my show, you put it perfectly. DeSantis is much more like Viktor Orban in Hungary. Trump is much more like Putin, that it's more in your face. It's a fist in your face. They'll put you in prison. They're both dangerous, but Donald Trump is growing. The GOP base sees the fascism. They see the white nationalism. They see the violence, let's be blunt, and they support it. And we have to be aware that there's a majority of the GOP base that is statistically, definitionally a fascist movement, not over the top. It's literally academically a fascist movement. And we should be calling that with one voice so people understand what fascism is about.
Yeah, I thought one of the really interesting points that Madeleine Albright made, and I don't recall if it was in her book, which I've not read all of, I've only read pieces of, or if it was in an interview that I saw, but basically that fascism is bullying turned into a state project.
Yeah.
That it's just, that's what it is, which leads me at that and what you just said about Trump becoming more popular to your piece, I believe today on Substack, or perhaps it was last night, about Mike Pence wimping out, because by saying these namby-pamby things like, history will judge Donald Trump, he's essentially greenlighting the whole project, the whole fascist project that Trump is promoting, is he not? I think that, frankly, he's not doing himself any favors. I don't know what the constituency is for Mike Pence. I don't think it exists, because he's trying to have it, every way, other than maybe evangelical Christians and mother. But it's like it's almost like he's acknowledging the power and violence and bullying, to use that metaphor of fascism as bullying, at the level of state, on the part of Donald Trump in a way that further empowers Trump.
Look, Mike Pence wants it both ways. It's clear. He wants to say at events that what Donald Trump did was wrong, which he did say. And he said history will hold him accountable. But what he won't do is, and he also said at that same event at the Gridiron Dinner on Saturday, that the American people deserve to know the truth about January 6th. And the hypocrisy here is Mike Pence refused to testify before the January 6th committee and has now filed a motion objecting to the grand jury subpoena to testify in the special counsel case. So we deserve to know, the people, what happened on January 6th. But a guy like Mike Pence, who has unique, key information, only he has. He talked to Trump on January 6th the morning. He was pressured by Trump one-on-one to overturn the election. He will not go forward with it. And I don't know what more it takes. Mike Pence said at the event Saturday, his family's life was endangered. And we know Mike Pence's life was endangered. They built a gallows and chanted, hang Mike Pence. And still, Mike Pence is protecting Donald Trump. There's a level of, I don't know if there's a fear that he actually fears the GOP base will kill him. We can't discount that. You have to understand, he saw it firsthand. He saw how angry they can be. They built a gallows. They wanted to kill him. They would kill his family. And maybe he's actually fearful for his life, or maybe it's just political cowardice, where he thinks somehow if Trump's indicted and he's gone, then the GOP base goes, well, he ran with Trump and he's never been bad to Trump, so maybe he'll support us. Look, history will not hold Donald Trump accountable. That's meaningless. A jury has to hold Donald Trump accountable. That's the only thing meaningful. That's what we need. Donald Trump deserves a fair trial, a fair conviction, and a fair life in prison. That's what he deserves. He should be getting that. Anything else, we're going to have more coups. Trump, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz. You pick one of the rogue galleries there of usual suspects. They will do it, because if Trump's not prosecuted, it means everything he did leading up to January 6th was legal. That's what it means.
Right.
And it can't.
And speaking of Trump being prosecuted, Fani Willis is apparently getting ready to pull the trigger on I thought it was going to happen last week, frankly, because she had an indicting grand jury as opposed to an investigating grand jury. Nothing has come out yet, but now the Georgia legislature is saying, we're not sure that we're going to allow these prosecutors to get on their high horses when they're going after Republicans.
It's unreal. By the way, the reporting indicates it's likely we won't get indictments before May, because she had to convene a new grand jury, which has to hear from a lot of people. And I imagine you could read some excerpts from the report, but you still have to present certain evidence to a grand jury. But yeah, the Republican legislature, for the first time in their history, now wants to be able to pass a law to remove elected district attorneys like Fani Willis, who said point blank in an interview that, we're just going to say now it's a coincidence that that we're investigating the leader of the Republican Party and they want to stop me and other DAs, they're protecting him. They're using the apparatus of government to prevent an indictment of Donald Trump. And the idea perhaps to make yourself censor, sort of the idea of I don't want to lose my job or who knows what happens. Again, this is a sign of fascism. You know, when you've got making people above the rule of law and using the apparatus of state government or federal government to do it. That's what they're doing. Dangerous times, my friend.
Yeah, it's this bullying raised to an art form as governance. I mean, it's breathtaking. The great Dean Obeidallah, the Dean's Report is his publication over at Substack, and well worth reading and subscribing to. Of course, Dean Obeidallah on Twitter and on SiriusXM Progress right here, channel 127, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Dean, thanks so much for dropping by.
Thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Good speaking with you.